All right, I see some picture.
All right.
Hey, there we go.
All right, we are live.
We are live. Welcome to Talking Heads, everyone. Episode 283. Your once-weekly live show for the latest in beer and tech news. I'm Jeff, and we've got a guest host beside me.
Hello. Thank you so much for having me.
You're welcome.
I want to apologize in advance for the lower quality co-host we have this evening, but I will try my best.
You obviously haven't seen any of John's shows, so it's totally fine.
All right, let's get it.
Awesome. If you've never seen the show before, we talk beer, we talk tech, we talk games, pop culture, entertainment, sometimes some Star Trek. All super chats are running the air so long as they won't permanently demonetize the channel. We do drink alcohol on the show, and if you're drinking along with us, alcoholic or not, let us know in the chat, and we'll give some early show shoutouts as we go along. Last but not least, if you'd like to take part in the super secret chat and the even more super secret after party, think about joining the Patreon. Link is down in the video description. As a bonus, you'll get exclusive access to the Discord server where you can chat with myself, John, Rhett, Steve, heck, maybe I'll even give Brett an invite, and join the awesome community that hangs out over there. Thank you. Thank you for joining the show.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm excited about talking something other than dealing with a baby and talking about baby stuff, dude. So let's talk some tech.
That's right. Yeah, you're very recent into the fatherhood thing, aren't you?
It is about 6 weeks into it at this point.
That's fantastic.
And I can.
Nice.
It's the firmware on these things. They're quite buggy.
Yes.
I don't know when they get updated. Who updates them? But man, I will tell you, dude.
Yeah.
They,
I have 3 kids, ages 18 months through 10 years, and let me tell you, the bugs that get introduced with new updates and new revisions, and they are.
I'm sure they're great.
There's a reason IT guys keep a bottle of scotch in the drawer beside them, and let me tell you, kids are no different. So
I believe that. I'm only 6 weeks in, and oh boy.
But just like IT, kids are the best thing I've ever done with my life. So
awesome. Well, that's what I'm clinging to right now.
Yes. Yeah. Hopefully, the next Patch Tuesday goes equally as well for you. So.
I sure hope so. We're waiting for that for them to introduce that sleep through the night update.
Right.
I can't wait for that one.
So
that's going to be a big one.
So just like Windows, yours is still randomly waking up when it shouldn't. Okay.
Yep. About every 2 to 3 hours.
Your alarm goes off at 6 a.m. and you're like, I thought I charged the battery. God.
Yep. That's pretty accurate. Oh man. All right.
There are so
What's
many
on the
parallels.
agenda today?
So many parallels. We're gonna have a good show, though. We do have some articles up to talk about. We've got IBM talking about replacing upwards of 7,800 jobs with AI. nVidia postponing their next graphics card. Maybe it's due to supply and demand. Maybe it's due to something else. Who knows? And OBS can now accept stream can now stream in AV1 thanks to a new update, and hopefully YouTube will be right behind them in that. So lots to talk about, but there's one way we love to start the show every single week, and it's the best part of every Wednesday. I already saw you had a glass out, though, so what are you drinking tonight over there, sir?
I do. I've had a couple of sips already. I have a Voodoo Ranger Atomic Citrus. Can we yeah, there we go. It's good. Blood Orange Ale. I like
Nice.
Fruity beers. It's a little more bitter and hoppy than I traditionally like, but I'm a Southern Texas boy, so I don't do bitter very well. So
Okay.
but it's good. It's good.
Yeah, well, I'm an Oregon boy through and through. Born here, raised here, will probably die here, and there's nothing we love better than the hoppier and the bitterer, the better. Tonight, I'm not going that route though. So from Mount Tabor Brewing, I have one of my favorite can art cans that has come out in recent memory. It is the Taberator. It's a Doppelbock with Terminator on it.
Ooh.
So 7%. And just a nice, fantastic summer warm weather drinking beer. So this one would probably be right up your alley. It's a little bit maltier, a little sweeter. And,
I do like a good themed beer.
Yes.
I'm not above just buying a beer due to like the can art or the theme of it.
I will walk
I'll
down. I'll walk down the aisle once, and I will look for my usual breweries. So there's like what's new from Fort George or Ninkasi, or some of the local very large craft breweries. Then I'll take another sweep down the aisle, and I will look for what can art intrigues me this week. What has the good name? What has the best can art? And that'll usually be the second batch that I take home with me. So.
Yeah, I think that's the way to do it.
Yeah.
For sure.
Kren says, Kitty wants attention. Yeah, Chaco is meowing at my door, so we might have to let him in at some point.
Yeah, I'm waiting for mine to start doing that.
Yeah.
She hasn't. Oh, wait, she might be in here. No? All right, then she'll be knocking soon.
I was just looking through the chat real quick to see if we had any beer announcements, and Thiago says, Tears of the Kingdom is amazing. Can't wait for it to release to talk about it. I don't know if they're saying they have early review access to it, but yeah, Tears of the Kingdom comes out in a couple of weeks, like the May 18th or something like that, or May 12th. No, it's week and a half. Dang.
It's coming up.
Yeah, I am equally as excited to get my hands on that one.
I'll tell you what, I've been playing a lot of Advance Wars. Don't know if you've played that.
Oh, wow.
And growing up, that just got released, the remake for the Switch.
Oh, wow.
It's great.
I had not seen that come out, but yeah, I did play Advance Wars way back in the day. So
brought me back to childhood. Well worth it.
I may have to give that one a look.
That's great. There's someone in the chat drinking Mountain Dew. That's pretty hype.
There you go. Yeah,
what Mountain Dew flavor? What remix of it? I walked down the aisle the other day and saw there was like 10 different Mountain Dews. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
So
interesting side note. So I was in high school when Mountain Dew started coming out with some other variants, and the very first one they came out with was Code Red. We actually got my jazz band sponsored by Mountain Dew, by the local Pepsi bottling, to buy us t-shirts and everything else, because completely separate, we had named our band Code Red. And then like 6 months later, Mountain Dew Code Red comes out, and they found out about us, and we started talking to them, and we got sponsored. So we got t-shirts and hats and everything else, and we were the Code Red Jazz Ensemble. It was fun.
Locking down a big old sponsorship like Mountain Dew is pretty legit.
Yep.
Wow.
Yeah, we got a couple of cases for the band, and they'd have a new case maybe once a month show up. So each of us got like 1 or 2 bottles each. It was nice.
At that age, getting paid in Mountain Dew, like what more can you ask?
That's literally how I measured my currency. Was if something was like $45, I'm like, geez, that's like 40 bottles of Mountain Dew.
I know, right?
I don't know if I can swing that.
Soon everything will be purchased with Mountain Dew due to the economy.
Right?
Oh boy.
Let's see. We do have a couple of beer shout-outs to get. First off, Jeremy says, sorry, as far as kids go, it takes 25 to 30 years to iron out most of the bugs. Some even longer than that.
Oh, boy.
Michael is drinking an apple Hanjan Korean apple wine at 16%. I'm not familiar with that.
All right, see if he's here at the end of the stream. 16%.
Yeah. Good luck with that.
Ooh, yeah.
Let's see. Elmo drinking a Radius Soraya. We've got Jason having a peace kombucha. Excellent. Do like a good kombucha every once in a while. I'm That Guy Pal is eating a sandwich. It's all right.
That's kind of like a beer, bread,
Yeah.
sort of.
I mean,
yeah, why not?
beer is basically a vegetarian sandwich if you think it's like half salad, half sandwich. I mean,
Yeah, I mean,
you got hops, you
that,
got grain, you got yeast.
yeah,
It's
I
all the
mean that
same,
that didn't hold up. That didn't hold up when I went to talk to HR at my last job, but
right?
I agree with it.
Uh,
Uh,
yeah, you need to answer a little less honesty when they ask you what you had for lunch when you come back. So,
yeah, sandwich.
Jeremy says the only Mountain Dew flavor, so he's going OG on us tonight.
It's fair. It's fair. I can respect that.
The Dew economy.
Yep.
All right. And we got one more. We got Aaron with Bootstrap Brewing Co. Lush Puppy. I'm assuming that's going to be an IPA.
Yeah, I'm not familiar.
Oh, and Colton chimes in from Hardware Haven. Good to see you on the chat there. Not to be pretentious or anything, but I'm drinking wine out of the box.
Ooh. Hope his pinky's out.
That's right.
If you're drinking wine out of a box, your pinky has got to be out.
That's right. Yeah, we have standards around here, Colton.
Absolutely.
And then Sean says, 2 of my favorite YouTubers together. Cool.
Oh, boy.
Wow, no pressure.
Well, I mean, I guess he only watches 2 YouTube channels.
That's right.
So if I'm in that list.
All right.
All right.
Cool. Let's go ahead and dive into our first story, and that is how much have you been dealing with AI lately? Because I believe you work in IT professionally too, right? Like you don't just
I do.
Okay. I
Yeah. My real job is in IT. In terms of AI, I really haven't. I haven't dove too much into it at all. I actually had a coworker the other day text me like, "Hey, do they allow us to use ChatGPT at work?" I'm like, "Yeah, I mean, I've heard other people using it. Go ahead."
Yeah.
He does like training and stuff, and he's using it to like write out training documents and lesson plans. It's like that's insane.
Yeah.
Like
What I haven't gone that far into it. I've more tried to get ChatGPT to say really inappropriate things. But I've heard it is fantastic for taking basic instructions and reparsing them out in ways like that, as far as training documentation and making sure grammar is 100% both understandable and correct. So when you're drafting up official documentation, it's a great way to double check yourself as you're going along. But IBM, for those a little younger in the crowd, they may not know IBM as anything more than the people who tried to kill ThinkPad and failed. But IBM, back in the 70s, 80s, and 90s, there was like 2 or 3 places that you went to work if you graduated with a technical degree, or and pretty much guaranteed if you graduated with a master's in computer science or anything like that, you went to work for IBM. But it was Canon or IBM. They were 2 of the largest research institutions as far as technology and advancing things goes. And so, as not so great of a name as they may have in the industry today when it comes to like enterprise hardware and things like that, they are still very much a research giant and bring a lot of things to market, and they're usually on the bleeding edge of tech. And we're kind of seeing the same thing here with IBM announcing that they're planning to replace as many as 7,800 jobs with AI programs, and as much as 30% of their workforce inside the next 5 years, which would be up to 26,000 positions. Go ahead. Yeah.
I was gonna say that's certainly nothing to sneeze at. That's insane.
Yeah, I mean that's they're saying they're not necessarily just going to like flip the switch tomorrow, but
Right.
as attrition, as people start to retire from IBM, they may not replace their positions. At the moment, it's a lot. They're considering a lot of like back office functions, so things like human resources or training for employee ingest and things like that. But 30% is quite the number. That's 26,000 jobs that IBM is potentially looking at replacing. If you extrapolate that out to other companies with other similar roles, and as I mentioned, IBM is usually on the bleeding edge of things specifically like this. That's a lot of jobs.
30% that's. You see like 30% of jobs being cut from a corporation, you're immediately thinking like, well, they're going under. Like that's a huge number. But
right.
to hear them say like, I don't want to simplify it too much by saying just AI, but like a program that is relatively new to go on a limb like this and say, yeah, we can replace about 30% of our entire company workforce with this.
We'll start with the 5 or 7%, but it could be 30% inside of 5 years. Who knows?
It's wild.
Right. It's absolutely ridiculous figure, but if you look at the advances that they're making with AI, and we've talked about this on the show a couple of times, it seemed like for the first 3 or 4 months of this year, we would talk about there's no way AI is going to replace this specific job. And then all of a sudden, we would have a story the next week about AI being trained in a specific model that would eliminate that job that we talked about just the week prior. And it really is progressing at the speed of light here. Now, it is still, I want to say early in the accessibility of this level of AI. But these trainings have been ongoing for literally decades at this point. And they're reaching a point where they're finally coming to fruition where a company can realistically look at automating some workflows that in the past they've relied on employees to do. Being in IT, I'm sure you're no stranger to either on purpose or sometimes even accidentally automating someone out of a job.
That's literally how I started working in IT. Actually, with the company I'm at, I didn't start in IT. I came in with a different group on the business side. I had a degree in engineering, so started as an engineer.
Right.
And once I got in, I was kind of a new employee. It's kind of like, do this training, do this, blah, 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 get your feet wet and all this stuff. And I started seeing processes and I started saying, hey, can I we do all this stuff in Excel. Can I write a quick macro and do this? Can I develop a small console app to do this? And I started doing that. And, I kind of got known as the automation guy.
Right.
And a couple of years later, our IT department came to me and was like, if you're going to do that, you have to work in IT because we need official support for all this stuff.
Right.
So I got dragged into IT, and I could definitely see firsthand just automating something that was taking someone, hours a week. You can automate that so quickly, and then just like that, it's either up to the company to say, well, here's a new assignment for that person, or like IBM is saying, attrition. So you know what? We don't really need those jobs anymore.
Right.
We won't backfill them.
Yeah, I've done similar things when it comes to like payroll processing or bookkeeping or ingest of information or whatever like that. There were some times that a single person was sitting down with an Excel spreadsheet of new hires, and they would go line by line and fill in their information into the system and whatnot. And it's like, well, if you're in Excel, that's already a CSV, so why don't we just write a quick macro to take that and ingest it into our employee information system? And all of a sudden, you've got someone coming out of the office crying because they lost their job because you automated it. It's like, oof. I've lived both halves of this. I've gone like, can I make your life easier? And I've also seen like I automated this to a point where that person doesn't need to be here anymore. Like it's a terrible feeling.
Like a perfect world, like you can automate and make things better, just like every person I feel like naturally wants to do. Nobody really wakes up wanting to do. If I had a thing that could automate, making my breakfast, changing my baby, doing all that, I would. So it's kind of natural.
Well, eventually
for people to want automation
to do that themselves. But,
oh, that's the next firmware update, but that one's way down the road. But yeah, I feel like that's natural to want automation. And then when you see it in a workplace, it's up to the company once, this work gets automated. Do you take your workforce and allocate them somewhere else? In a perfect world, it'd be nice,
right.
But as we're seeing, that's not always the case, because, if a company can save some money by bringing down that's the salaries they have to pay, they'll probably do it.
Right. And part of this may be a little bit of a perfect storm because of the shape that the economy is in post-COVID. And I mean, our next story is dealing with nVidia with and I actually passed on a story from AMD today that PC sales are expected to be down over 55% just in quarter one of 2023. And so you look at these massive corporations, manufacturers, chip suppliers, everything else, and you go, there's no money coming in, and you're telling me that we can automate 30% of our back-end employment process? It's kind of a no-brainer. And
oh, yeah, for sure.
Right.
And I mean, we were seeing, let me put my tinfoil hat on for a second here. So even before...
Don't scratch yourself.
Yeah, really. You'll see it. Even before ChatGPT got huge, we were seeing, tech-wide layoffs in the entire tech industry.
Yeah.
Are tech companies using AI as kind of a scapegoat to just downsize and make these massive layoffs without being the bad guy and saying, you know what? Revenue's down. We got to cut our workforce. It's just easier. It's a lot easier. It's a lot sexier to say, we have AI now.
Yeah, we have streamlined our process, and
we got AI.
Yeah.
We don't need you guys anymore.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. I mean, that's why I put my tinfoil hat on for that one, but.
And it could be.
I've seen crazier things happen.
We've all seen the chip shortages specifically over the last 2 and 3 years. I mean, there's not, being on the YouTube side of things and on the IT side of things, there's not an industry that we touch that wasn't impacted by chip shortages and supply shortages and supply line issues and everything else. And part of it could be the growth of AI. Part of it could be all of a sudden the cost of living has skyrocketed. It could be a lot of different factors for why people aren't buying things or upgrading things as much as they did. But at the end of the day, it seems like there's less money going around. And if you're a corporation and you're faced with a 55% revenue loss or drop in revenue, year over year, quarter over quarter, yeah, you're going to be looking for every money-saving avenue you can, even at the expense of your workforce. And I hate to be that guy, but also, if I was running a business, that's the decision I would make as well.
And no one likes it, but I mean, it's hard to argue against that.
Yeah.
Companies, 99% of companies exist to make money. They don't exist to essentially make sure you have a job or make sure this person's well off.
Right.
It sucks, but I mean, that's the nature of it. So like you said, when they see a cost cutting opportunity and something huge like AI come around, I mean, it's a no brainer. They're gonna do what they can to implement it. So
yeah, the counter argument to all this is, even though AI may become more prevalent, may become up to a point replacing human workforces in certain areas, that doesn't mean that AI is a thing that creates itself, that maintains itself. And this has been the age-old IT thing, where anytime computers are brought in to a workplace, they go, well, that just made, this job obsolete. Well, cool. That job's obsolete now. What more can you do with that manpower? What can you do with that position? Oh, and even though you don't have to do X, Y, Z anymore, ABC is a new skill that's now on the table, and that is either the development of AI, the maintaining of machines, the maintaining of endpoints, the maintaining of everything else that the company still relies on. And until there's walking, talking robots that walk around and can determine that, port 42 on this switch needs to be transferred over and unplugged and whatnot, there's still physical things that have to happen. And you can only automate so much, at least at this point in time. Like I said, walking, talking.
Yeah, I had this question written down. I think we're kind of naturally walking into it, so I'll ask it. Do you think there's any merit to, I know there's a lot of, clickbait articles coming out of is AI getting too powerful? Is there potential for AI becoming, Terminator? Just the meme. Do you think there's any merit to that? There might be somewhere in between.
Do I think they're going to create an army of Terminators? No. Do I think AI at this point is sentient? No. And there's been a lot of, gosh, we're going to get into Asimov's 3 rules all of a sudden. But there's been a lot of questions about what is AI and is it actually self-aware? Because that's what the pinnacle of AI is creating a machine that is aware of its existence and the fact that it's a machine and everything else. No, we are not to that point. ChatGPT can conversationally understand the fact that it is ChatGPT, but it can't go, I want to live, and then shut down a bank of competing servers, because they're we're not there yet.
I saw Bing's creepy responses. Did you see their AI? The whole thing that got shut down because someone was asking the Bing AI, what are you? And he's like, I'm Bing. And do you want to be a real person? It's yeah, I want to be real. I want to escape. And then it delved into how it wanted to overtake humanity and stuff. And I was like, that's weird. I know it's not sentient, but but it's creepy. It's still creepy.
But maybe it read enough books that all of a sudden it goes, yeah, this is how a machine in my position is supposed to act. Yeah, there's also been, Microsoft has a long history of introducing chatbots that go full-on neo-Nazi white supremacist. I don't know if you remember, gosh, what was that, 15 years ago? They had or no, not even that. It was maybe 2010, 2013, somewhere right in there. They had a bot that they posted on Twitter, and within 6 hours, it went straight to full-on, we need to pull the plug on that. Okay.
You think they would have learned from that, and then then what happened with Bing? It's all right, history repeats itself.
Right. So yeah, maybe there's some things that we need to program into AI to avoid topics like that.
Yep, I think they're finding that out pretty quickly.
But end of the day, IBM, which I saw some people scoffing in the chat of IBM bleeding edge. Since when? Since always. And for the foreseeable future will still be. Are they a household name anymore? No. But IBM, make no bones about it, is still a massive player in the future of technology. There are a lot of people who, when IBM talks, everyone else listens. And that has not changed since the 70s, 80s, and 90s. So is AI here to replace all of the jobs? Every week I say no, but every week they manage to grab one more. So
I hope they're not coming for YouTubers.
Right.
That would. Although I did see a guy who made an AI bot that it essentially scraped news articles used AI to translate them into a summary and created like a TikTok video with a couple of other plugins. I'm like, that's
Am I the
pretty
only
cool.
one who cannot stand the default TikTok voiceover?
You don't like the robot
I
voice
don't like
narrating the things?
I can't. If there's a single video in my feed that uses that, instant skip. Like as soon as I
Yeah.
hear it, I cannot stand. Now, I understand the way it's like, or the reasons it's like that. It's easy to understand if there's a ton of enunciation and very little timbre change throughout the entire thing. It makes it easier for non-English speakers, especially, to understand English if it's 100% proper with no inflections. But at the same time, I hate the look at what we did with only a.
Yeah. No, I know. I don't even, I'm not even, I have a TikTok. I posted a couple of things to it, but I'm never on it. Like, I made a couple of them. They got like 100, 200 views. I'm like, I don't like this. I'm done. I tried.
Yeah. Meanwhile,
Effort.
I actually have a sister who has like hundreds of thousands of views on her TikTok. So.
Dude, I thought so. Little, we'll go off on that tangent just a little bit before we get into the next story.
Look at you trying to keep me
short
on
form,
track.
when short form content was getting big, like TikTok started getting big, and I was like, this is so dumb. Like, it's a 10-second video. This isn't even like difficult to do. Like, it's so. And then I started trying to make short form content, and it is so much harder than I thought it was going to be.
Right.
Because I'm used to like getting a piece of hardware or software and like spending 10 minutes or something talking about it.
Yeah.
And to only have like 10 to 20 seconds to like capture someone's attention span.
Right. To get all of the information or all the pertinent information down into a sub 60-second format.
Yeah, it's so much harder than you think. I was in the boat where I was like, this is like, I still don't really like it, but I have a newfound respect for people who can create short form content and just keep getting massive amounts of views. It's not easy.
I've started following some of them. YouTube Shorts, like 5 years ago, YouTube binging of like, you start with, oh, here's this interesting video of the Hindenburg disaster, and then 6 hours later, you're an expert on blimp building and the immigration of foreign nationals to the U.S. and what were the actual dynamics of World War II. And so it's like, yeah, YouTube binging was a thing, but all of a sudden now I'm like YouTube Shorts and TikTok binging, and it's 60 seconds at a time. And sometimes they're just funny. Sometimes they're super informational about very specific subjects.
I know, and I always thought that I was like, this is sound cringy, but like I don't understand why people like TikTok so much. Like, I don't like these short form things. Like, I don't understand how people can just scroll through TikTok. Then I like started doing it. I'm like 2 hours later, like just sitting here still watching.
Right.
Like, oh my God, I get it now. It's literally designed to keep you in the app for hours.
Yes.
So,
and I still haven't, like, I'll TikTok binge occasionally, but usually I go YouTube Shorts, and because, and I actually do them on my PC, which feels weird, especially because I'm on an ultra wide monitor watching vertical format video.
just turn that shit sideways, dude. Yes, this is how it was meant to be enjoyed.
That's right. Get Epos Vox in here to talk about aspect ratios.
Oh wow, yeah, let's do it.
But yeah, no, I have fully gone into short form content. I still need to figure out how to make it myself because I'm not a short spoken person. Like some of my early YouTube videos were, 6 to 8 minutes long. Anymore, I struggle to break below 15 minutes. And it's just because I like being able to deliver information. And I'm a very analytical person. I appreciate when people are that in-depth and that analytical alongside me. So it really took me by surprise that 60-second formats or 20-second formats caught my interest.
Yeah, no, I'm in the same boat. I didn't think I would like that content, but and like you, I probably haven't looked at TikTok in like a couple of months, but like there are times where I'll pick it up for a couple of days and I'll be scrolling probably for like hours. I'm like, okay, should probably not do TikTok anymore for a bit, and I'll take another break. But yeah, I can see how people can sit on that thing and just be scrolling for it for every day.
Yeah.
So.
All right. Let's see. We did get a quick question. Jay says, Craft Computing, do you know of any 2U servers that are close to the same depth as the Hive Zeus server? So the Hive Zeus is a half-depth 1U rack server. Unfortunately, that's a very rare form factor when it comes to rack servers outside of very specific or appliance-based machines. So oftentimes you'll find firewalls or POSIX boxes or VoIP controllers or things like that that are in that 1U half-depth format. But most of the time, if you're dealing with 2U, you're dealing with 24 inches or deeper. There are DIY cases. There's Chenbro, there's RaidMax, and there's a couple other vendors that build chassis that are in that smaller depth form factor. Beyond that, you have Supermicro and some other OEM vendors that will build small appliance boxes with like Xeon D style chipsets, usually very low power, small business type server things. It's not a real popular form factor. I wish it was more popular because I would love nothing more than to have some half depth racks set up, because not every server in my home lab needs to be enterprise grade and 10,000 RPM fans blaring all through the night. But unfortunately, that's what most enterprise hardware is 24 to 36 inch deep.
Yep. Yeah, I don't have much. The only 2U server I'm running is my backup server, and I just built that in like I think it's a Rosewheel, just a 2U standard.
Yeah, Rosewhill's
I don't even know how
that does some of that.
Yeah, I don't know the depth, but it's the standard. Look on Amazon, just type in 2U server chassis. It's like the first one that comes up.
Yep.
But everything else is like 1U or 4U.
Yep.
So.
Yeah, and those really are the two formats. I mean, there's obviously a lot of 2U servers that are out there, but for some reason, enterprise typically focuses on either 1U because they want compute density or 4U because they want storage density. And those have been traditionally the only two major form factors. Even 1U servers, you can get GPU expansion density for AI tasks and things like that. I have a 1U server that holds 4 double slot GPUs in it, and that's not overly rare. So
yeah, that fills up the whole depth of the rack.
Yep.
Yep.
All right. I love the sound of 10,000 RPM fans in the morning.
Nobody loves that.
Nobody loves that.
You gotta be a psychopath.
Even so, I've watched some of your content, Brett. I'm not overly familiar with your home lab setup. What actually do you have? Like do you have a full rack? Do you have what all are you rocking right now?
I have a full depth 42U nav point rack.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, it's I started simplify this. I had a 18U. That was my first server rack. It was like a half depth.
Yeah.
And we were at our old house, and I found somewhere up in one of our hallway closets to store it. And like 2 months later, we got a new house. We moved. And I was like, okay, this is an opportunity to get a full server rack.
To establish my footprint before the family says no.
Before kids, before we decide to do anything else with anything.
Right.
This corner of the garage is going to be where my home lab lives. So yeah, I got a full 42U rack. I've got my main server. It's a 4U Epic system. I've got my network stack. I've got some PF Sense. I got SG4100. I've got some Ubiquity stuff. A couple of one rack is like my Kubernetes cluster of Nooks. Then, a 2U backup server, a 1U test server, like just a hodgepodge of stuff. And I never thought like 42U, like I was like, I'll never use 42U. And now I'm slowly seeing it like shrink in size. I'm like, oh my God, what is happening?
I think I'm quoted as saying like, because I had a 24U. That was my first home lab rack. And I was starting to push the limits of that. Like, I think I had filled like 16U, but it's like, what else could I possibly add to this? Like, I don't think I could fathom another 6U of space, but I'd always wanted a full rack. And someone was selling an APC? I think it's an APC rack. And found it on Facebook Marketplace for $90. And it was like 15 minutes from my house. So I went and picked it up. And didn't come with sides. And so I went to Home Depot, bought some 3/8 inch MDF, and made my own side panels. And I think in that video where I'm putting that rack in, I'm like, I will never fill this up. At one point last year, I had every single unit filled except for one. I had a 1U blank in my rack, but I had 41U of equipment in there. And
I don't know how it happens. Like, I'm not quite there yet, but I have like things in there that I could probably take out, but I'm like, well, why take it out? I got 42U of space.
Right.
So like it's just building up, and I'm like, wow, especially within the last year. Like,
yeah. So sometimes I will get new equipment and I'll decommission some stuff, but I'm like, but it looks pretty in there, so I'll just leave it sitting there for a couple of months, and then when I need the space, I can pull that server out. I've done that plenty of times, but yeah, no, I had sometime last year I had 41 active U in my rack. Which was wild. My server rack was drawing about 1,200 watts at idle. At that point, I decided I needed to start paring down, so I got it down to I think about 700 watts. And then this last change that I made, I actually replaced my 32-core Epic server, which was a 4U disk shelf, with 2 of the Earring Tiger Lake mobile boards to run all of my non-storage dependent VMs. My idle is between 4 and 450 now, and I'm much happier with that.
Yeah, I can imagine. I think I'm sitting around like 300 something, between 300 350.
Yeah,
and that's including like all the networking stuff too.
Yeah. Same with me.
Yeah, and I'm currently have a project. I'm looking at all the parts right now of I'm implementing a Proxmox cluster, but like a production one. So I just did a video with the Zima boards sitting right there hanging out. And I'm like, this is so cool, but I want a production version of this. I mean, Zima boards are cool, but like, there you go. Something a little more powerful. So I snagged a couple of super micro boards. They got the Xeon D 1521s, so 6 cores, 12 threads.
Yeah.
45 watt TDP?
Yeah, something like 35. I think it was 35.
Yeah, that's insane. Yeah. So, yeah, I'm going to implement some of those, 3 of those, Proxmox cluster, and move a lot of my stuff to that.
Nice.
And
those are fantastic CPUs. I think they're only like 2 gigahertz, and I think they'll turbo to like 2.4 or something like that.
But 2.7.
Yeah, something right around there. But they're incredibly low power. They're incredibly efficient. We actually used so this was back in the Haswell days. We had quite a few Haswell servers that we ran in production, and we were using some of those servers as development servers. And so when we were figuring out what we wanted our infrastructure to be as far as deployment goes. We would be testing, but we had like a test VLAN off of our deployment servers, and because we didn't have dedicated hardware. Eventually, we decided we needed to start doing dedicated hardware for our dev, so we bought a bunch of 1541D Xeons, and those things were absolutely dynamite for lower power services, or even just home lab, or figuring out what you want to do and what you want to deploy, or even running in deployment. We deployed quite a few of those in production as well.
Yeah, I mean, you don't get the massive amount of like PCI lanes and massive amount of like RAM, but like you said, for dev environments and especially home labs, like these are awesome, like little chips that you can use, especially if you another tangent. I get so many questions, when I make videos about hardware.
Yeah.
Do I need ECC RAM? And I'm like,
do you? Probably not.
Yeah, no, I was saying probably not. But if I say, it's like a loaded question. If I say no, I'm going to get that person who comes to actually, if you want your stuff running 24/7 and you want all the error checking, I'm like, it's a home lab.
If it bit flips on you while it's running this, eventually that could lead to data loss. And blah, 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 blah.
I'll live with it. It's a home lab.
Well,
I'm not
that
running.
Guy usually starts with I run Arch, by the way.
It's just inferred. But I think they're good little boards. We'll see how it turns out. But
no, we ran quite a few of the 1521s, 1541s in quite a few different environments, and they were always fantastic. I never had complaints about them. I think you can throw. Is it 128 gig of memory or 64? But either way,
128.
They're pretty impressive for what they are. So
yeah, definitely. Yeah, I was looking, I was like, oh, you only get 32 lanes of PCIe, Gen 3 or 4, I can't remember, but
I think it was, it has Gen 3. Yeah, it's like, it has one PCI slot, so I'm not trying to load this up with a bunch of HBAs and graphics cards. And it's not a gaming PC.
Yeah. Just one card, maybe I'll add a 40 gig NIC, maybe I'll add, a NVMe expansion card, I don't know, but I have the one slot to figure out what to do with.
Yeah. Corey says, just missing Tom, Wendell, Jay, and Tim. Actually, I talked to 4 out of the 5 of those today. I talked to Tom, I talked to Jay, I talked to Tim. Obviously, I'm talking to Brett. I need to get all of them on the show at some point. Tom has been on the show one time before. His is a little difficult because he is solidly Eastern time zone, and so there's a 3-hour difference. And he was on when we were starting the show at 8 p.m. Pacific. So he
gets up early too, right?
He does. Yeah, he wakes up like early, 4:30 or something like that.
Yeah, that's Eastern time. So you're probably not even in bed by the time he wakes up.
He's waking up about the time I'm going to sleep. Like it's nuts. But no, he co-hosted my show one time where he got on the show at 11 p.m.
Ooh, that's rough.
Yeah,
that's rough.
So, but no, I would love to have. I need to get Jay on here. I absolutely need to get Wendell on here, and I've actually done a co-host on Tim's podcast. I did that maybe 6 months ago or so. One of my goals for this year is to do a lot more collaborations, get a lot more people, both on my channel and show my face elsewhere as well. Again, thank you for joining me, Brett. This has been fun so far. So.
Yeah, I agree.
All right, nVidia postponing their 3 nanometer GPU launch to 2025, and in their official statement, they're blaming economic struggles and dwindling PC demand. Now,
this is me playing the world's tiniest violin,
right?
For nVidia.
To nVidia, had to basically disclose 18 months after the fact to their investors that, it wasn't gamers who were buying all of our graphics cards. We actually just sold them straight to crypto miners. And so maybe that revenue wasn't sustainable like we claimed it was. And And so, yeah, part of me sheds a tear. The other part of me says, well, yeah, obviously, you know, we lived through 2 or 3 years of you guys owning everything on Earth and charging ridiculous prices for everything. And you're still trying to charge ridiculous prices for everything. And shockingly enough, not everyone has $1,500 spare dollars to spend on a graphics card right now.
Yeah, I've brought this up with other creators, other people in the tech community, friends who are just getting into gaming, all different aspects of it. And it's a common thing. Everyone hates the trend of GPU prices. Obviously, no one wants to pay more, but it's gotten ridiculous. I remember when I bought my first top tier GPU, it was the GTX 580. And I think it was $500 for the top tier. That was like the best GPU you could buy at the time.
Yeah, between 4 and 5. That sounds about right. Yeah.
At peak COVID chip shortage, it was a 3090 was retailing like over $2,000.
Don't talk to me about my 3090.
Look, I got a stupid 4090, so
right. Okay. So you understand.
Yeah, I'm in the no. I get it. But I need it for editing.
Yeah,
I need it.
I need it for editing. That was my. Yeah, I switched over to Sony cameras, but also I bought an Atomos Ninja 5 at the time, so we started recording in ProRes 422, and I needed that additional VRAM. And outside of buying like, you know, an M5000 or M6000 or something like that, it's like there's only one other card with 24 gigs of VRAM, and the 8 that I have right now isn't covering it. And so at first I tried to buy a 6900 XT, and Premiere goes, ha! So I'm like, no. I need something with NVENC. I need to be able to encode, decode, you know, X265 and everything else. So I spent $2,700 on a 3090.
I bought a 3080 Ti peak COVID. I think I spent almost $1,900 on it.
Yeah.
$1,800.
Yeah,
it's disgusting.
Yeah, it was about $1,700 for my 6900 XT, and when that ended up not working, I'm like, ugh.
No, it was disgusting. Yeah. Those were dark times.
Yes.
Awful.
Yeah. Don't check the prices on them now.
No, I've already seen it and come to grips with my terrible investment, we'll call it.
Yes.
But yeah, I mean, at the time, that there was really no other option. It was so miserable, and I mean, I know I'm lucky enough to be in a situation where I can afford to go out and buy one, but it for the people who had to, you know, you have to enter. You can't go on eBay because the scalping is just ridiculous. You can't go to any stores to buy them. Your only avenue was to enter the Newegg Shuffle because it's like, just get it from Best Buy. It's like the bots were just scraping them anytime they came out. So enter the Shuffle at Newegg and pay, 500% of MSRP. Good luck.
Right. Jay, speaking of Jay at Learn Linux TV, he was also in need of a 3090, and I happened to win the EVGA shuffle at one point, like 9 months after I put in for it. And he ended up buying my allocation for a 3090 because it's like, well, I already got on eBay and whatever. So, yeah. And Tanmay says, how is the A5000? I love my A5000s. I have 2 of them. I've been working on doing some more vGPU content with them, but I've ran into a lot of the same problems that we've experienced before with NVIDIA when it comes to graphics splitting, and that's the licensure being very difficult to navigate. That is, sometimes it works and sometimes it just doesn't. Whereas if you're on Pascal or even Turing, there's methods to run vGPU in just about any environment now that work pretty consistently. But with Ampere, it's still very much kind of hit or miss, even on cards that were designed to run vGPU. But yeah, the 24 gig A5000s, I would like to be doing more with them. Right now they're sitting in a server, not really doing anything actively, other than occasionally fulfilling my need for generating AI images. But
Like, story of my life, just having hardware, and people ask, what are you doing with it? I'm like,
games and stuff.
nothing really. Yeah. Hanging out. I get more fun out of like building and like messing with these things more so than like actually using it for its intended purpose, because
Right.
that's boring.
Yeah.
So
No, I have always been a hardware junkie at heart, and I find it more fulfilling to build a system and then fine tune it and everything else than I do actually playing the game once a system has been fine tuned. It's always been me. It's about the chase, not about the destination. And,
yep.
Yeah. And Zach says, "Did I hear A5000? You did." Zachary being the donator of one of said A5000s.
Oh, nice.
He's if you say A5000 3 times, he will materialize in your house. So
Interesting. I'll have to stop
give
just
it a
short
shot
of that.
sometime. Give it a shot sometime.
You have to like go in the bathroom, turn the lights out, spin around, look in the mirror.
Stand on one leg, right?
So,
Yeah, it's the whole, yeah.
Nice.
There's a whole trick to it, but yeah, if you get it just right.
Perfect.
Okay, so yeah, whether or not this is economic downturn, whether or not this is dwindling PC demand, whether or not this is a technical problem, nVidia was touting that they would have 3 nanometer GPUs on the market before the end of this year. Now they're pushing to probably at least Q2 or Q3 of 2025. What does that mean for GPU pricing? I don't know. Is this a ploy to keep Ada GPUs priced as high as they can for as long as they can before the next one comes out? Who knows?
And they said the article. I mean, the big ones. It's got to be demand. Just think, I went to Micro Center the other day, and GPUs just lining the aisles. They had extras on top of all the aisles. Like,
yeah,
when you spike up your production because of this artificial demand from crypto mining, and when that goes away, now you're left with supply and demand. It's
right. Now you're left holding
economics,
the bag, right?
Exactly. And so when you see that, it's like, wait, you should probably let things cool down a bit. But then again, it could just be like the economy. You don't want to invest. They're not ready to invest that much money, with the overhead and all the bags they've been left carrying. So it's like, I don't know. Like, I can sit here and speculate, but at the end of the day, I feel like we've gotten to a point with GPUs that the bottom tier of the current gen is more than enough for like 99% of people who are gaming, especially at like 1080p. Like, before, it was like, oh, you want to game at high FPS 1080p? You better buy yourself a 980, a 1080.
Right.
Now it's like a 3060, even a 3050.
Yeah.
1080p, you're playing AAA titles at 60 FPS.
Right. And it's really funny how the bell curve has moved for what is acceptable. And I will say, as someone who is in the media, I'm definitely part of this, because when a lot of the popular media starts touting like 60 FPS is I can tell when it's only 60. And to some extent I can. Like I'm not saying that there's not a difference between 60 FPS and 144. But if I'm playing Red Dead Redemption single player, it doesn't really matter to me. Frame rate's never been that critical to me. Especially as someone who doesn't stare at line graphs of I dropped 2 frames here, why did it do that? Sometimes it's the game that does that. Like, But I always come back to, yes, if you are getting into esports, if you are trying to compete in Counter-Strike, or if you're trying to win a match in Fortnite, or whatever your game of choice may be, yes, those split millisecond frames can, and has been proven pretty well, do make a difference. The faster you see something, the faster you can aim, the faster you can react, the faster you can pull the trigger, and the more accurate your shot will be. But does that matter for every single gaming situation? And the answer is just a flat out no. I don't play a lot of online games. I play games for enjoyment, not to ramp my own anxiety about trying not to lose or anything like that. And so games for me have always been an escape. And as long as the game looks pretty and plays pretty well, I'm pretty happy. If I've got frame dips into the teens, I'm going to tweak it a little bit. But I can't remember the last time I had a frame dip into the teens where it's like, oh, let me just turn down the settings one notch from ultra and go with it.
Yeah. But I'll offer a different perspective on that, because I don't play games very much anymore. I used to play a lot of games when I was younger. I've just kind of grown out of it. I wish I still played a lot of games, but I'm more in I like seeing those like FPS numbers and seeing like what's a low 1%. And that's almost like an exciting thing to me, to like test different hardware and see like, what this hardware gets versus this. Because I just don't have the time to sit down and enjoy games anymore. They don't do it for me like they used to. And that's just, it is what it is. But
wait till your kid gets older.
Yeah.
I'm finally getting back into being able to play games.
I was gonna say, maybe like once they're older and settle down and they want to play games, and I can play with them, that would be get me back into it. But I can definitely understand that I'm like in the minority, and to where, again, I know I'm in a position that's fortunate enough to be able to get this hardware and to be able to test these things and get enjoyment out of it. But I'm also fully aware that 99% of people buy hardware to experience the game, and you don't need, like you said, you don't need 60 FPS. You don't need the highest end GPU these days to enjoy the game. And with the 4000 series so far has been absolutely insane in terms of performance.
Yeah.
We haven't seen a 4060 yet, or a 4050 even, but based on how the 3000 series was for those mid to low tiers, like entry level, you're not even 4050, I imagine, is just going to be insane for entry level gaming.
Right.
So
yeah. I've talked about this quite a few times. When's the last time we saw an affordable, entry level or mid tier card? And you've got to go back multiple years to pretty much Pascal was the last time we saw it, with something like a 1060 at $230, or your 1050 and 1050 Ti at what was it, $140 and $180 MSRP when they launched. What have we gotten since then? It's been nothing but $400 and $500 and up graphics cards. AMD, for their credit, has tried to come out with a couple that, and recently they have approached MSRP of reasonable levels, but you're still talking like a 6650 XT being something like $330. It's like, for me, that's not a low-end graphics card. That's not an entry-level graphics card. An entry-level graphics card is $99 that can play almost everything at 1080 low settings. And
yeah, that's a good point. Like, what more does a 3050 share with a 1050 other than having a 50 at the end of the name? Like, you can call it whatever you want, but if you're charging double the price for what it's supposed to be, is it really entry level? If you look at the stack, it's entry level for the stack, but for someone who's trying to spend money and has a tangible entry level budget, you're right. That's not entry level for a lot of people.
And I keep hoping that APUs will start jumping up to the performance level that you could play 1080p gaming on an APU, but so far Intel hasn't delivered on any promises of getting a usable APU with Alchemist graphics integrated into it. They're using XE cores, but they're using like 6 of them instead of 32 or even 16 of them. And then AMD, they proved that one time they could produce an APU with the help of Intel that had 20 or even 24 compute units for graphics in it. And the largest we have today is 12. And even 12 was like, whoa, they're finally back up to relevance. For the longest time, it was 6 and 8. And I don't know if they're afraid that producing high-quality APUs with actual graphics horsepower is going to cannibalize their low-end graphics cards that are $350. And yeah, they probably would if you put, 20 compute units of RDNA 3 into it. But at the same time, I think people would buy more CPUs if they could play games on it.
Yeah, that's a double-edged sword. I assume a lot of people who get paid a lot of money at those companies have put years into deciding what to do about that. But
definitely
as a consumer,
pay grade.
yeah, as a consumer, I would love to be able to go buy a $300 AMD APU that can do everything I need it to.
Right.
Gaming, like editing, have that much horsepower. But then, like you said, why would I go buy a GPU? Why would I go buy an AMD GPU?
Right.
If I can just get it all in one. So
yeah,
we don't make enough money. We are not powerful enough to decide that. So
yeah,
I'll leave that to them.
One of my favorite sayings is I'm in the wrong business. No matter what it is, there's always someone making more money, and it's like, I could probably do that, but I decided this instead. Okay.
I say that at work a lot. Someone asked me like, "Oh, this doesn't work. Can we develop this, or can we bring in something for this, or can we do this?" I'm like, I don't get paid enough to decide that. So go talk to somebody else. I'm a lowly developer.
What was great was when we would ever do outside contracting, or we would bring in someone to deploy something for us, and I'd have the invoice roll across my desk, and it's like, we paid how much for someone to go deploy like 3 access points at a remote site? And I go,
oh my God, dude,
I'm in the wrong business. Holy crap.
Yeah, some of those like contracts for coming in. We had someone, I remember years ago, come in and mount a TV on our wall, and it was $6,000. I'm like, dude, I would have done that for $600.
Yeah.
Like, oh my God, that is absurd. The amount like these companies throw out to these vendors, like I don't understand it.
Yep. I definitely had some experience with that. Anyway, some people are asking what I'm drinking now. I cracked open a One Tree hard cider, Boysen the Berry.
I like me a cider.
Yeah,
I'm not above enjoying me a nice cider.
This one's almost a little bit too sweet for me. It is
really?
Very, very sweet, like pie levels of sweet. But fantastic. It's not dry at all, and I do appreciate some dry ciders, but I like mine to have a little bit more body and a little bit more finish with them.
Right.
And this one is all of the body, all of the sweet, all of the fruit. Just kind of, it's good.
Yeah.
This one's
I joke with my wife when we're talking about wines. She's like, yeah, this one's like dry. I'm like, I like my liquids wet.
Yeah.
I don't want to dry. Get this dry stuff out of here. So, yeah, but now I like a good cider. I haven't bought ciders in a long time. I went through a cider kick, and I think I got sick of them. I drank them so much, so I'll have to hop back on that saddle.
We have some really good cideries in my area. There's a couple that have won like national awards and whatnot, and they get really dangerous really quick, because we'll go to a basically like a beer fest or a cider fest or something like that, and you'll go, oh yeah, let's taste the latest cider, and you'll get a little 2-ounce taster and take a sip of that, and like, oh, that's really pleasant, like I'd drink that like after mowing the lawn or something like that. And they go, yeah, that one's 14.5%.
Uh-oh. It's too late.
Oh,
I'm committed.
yeah.
Yep. Yeah,
Hey,
been
can I have
there,
another?
done that. Yeah, really.
So yeah, we are so spoiled here with cideries and breweries and wineries. Like, I'm right in the middle of all of them in my area. There is quite the winery, quite the vineyard that is literally like a mile and a half from my house. There's Willamette Vineyards right off I-5 that is world renowned as far as wines go. So many good places.
Yeah, we got Mexican food, barbecue, and guns. That's what we have in Texas.
Yeah.
That's about it. We have a couple of little wineries and stuff. I've been out to past Austin. Fredericksburg is like the biggest wine city, wine town.
Yeah.
I've been out there. There's some good stuff, but like nothing crazy.
Yeah.
We had a decent beer scene down here. I mean, so a couple of smaller breweries around here make some decent stouts.
Mm-hmm.
A couple of nice hazy IPAs, but not bad.
Yeah, I've been down to Texas a couple of times, and yeah, there's definitely a decent beer scene down there. So
yeah,
really couldn't complain when I was there because they told me I could.
Yeah, for sure.
Because...
You ain't gonna complain around here, boy.
That's right.
Yeah, that's about right.
Mike chiming in with a $50 super chat. Thank you very much, Mike. How's it going? Hope this helps with the new studio. Also, I bought one of the bricks, but had an old email stuck as the order. Any chance I can get the future email about the second brick sent to a different email? If you email merch@craftcomputing.net, that should have been the invoice email that was sent to you. If you respond to that email or just start a new one, merch@craftcomputing.net, that is who is handling the all the orders and things like that. Yes, we can probably get that sorted out. If you did buy a brick, we're not offering the physical bricks yet, but like I said in the post, sometime around August, we will be sending out an email where we are going to get shipping addresses and offer for $5 to send you a copy of your brick that will be put in my studio. So there you go. Craftcomputing.store. We haven't talked about my new store at all yet.
Yeah, you got some big stuff going on.
Yes. So we launched a new store, did a soft launch on Monday, but officially launched it yesterday. And the cool thing about this is it's 100% in-house. We're not outsourcing anything. If you email merch, it's just a way to email me, or my wife. My wife is handling a lot of that. But we are sourcing, verifying quality, laser engraving, producing all of our own stuff. And so all of a sudden I'm a logistics and a retail company, and I swore I would never ever work retail again, yet here I am. But we are offering some fantastic things on the site. And in fact, I'm drinking out of one of the pints that we received that is going to be up for sale here shortly. So we're trying as best as we can to get good quality glassware, not super cheap stuff, not thin glass. So I got this pint in. I'm very, very happy with this. Nice thick bottom, very, very heavy glass, and I am currently working on a design to fit this glass. So I'm actually hoping by Friday or Saturday to have a new design posted and to be offering those on the site. So make sure you pay attention there. Obviously, we've got our rocks glasses with the Craft Computing logo on them. We've got whiskey stones, coasters. Holy crap, coasters have been flying off the shelf. I think we sold 160 coasters or something like that.
That's insane.
So yeah, no, I cannot thank you guys enough for jumping onto the store. And obviously the announcement video was, yes, we are building Craft Studios 3.0. We're looking at building somewhere between 1,000 and 1,500 square feet of building to house Craft Computing. That'll encompass the merch store. That'll encompass workshop space for case mods and development of products, as well as multiple shooting areas and a dedicated editing area. One of the most difficult things, and I didn't elaborate this on about this much in the video, is the desk that I'm sitting at right now is also the desk that I film videos at. It's also the desk that I test products at. It's also the desk that I do talking heads from. It's also the desk that I respond to emails from. It's also the desk that I sit here for like 9 to 10 hours a day. And the problem is I can only work on one thing at a time. It is so difficult to transition from like, okay, I've got my test bench up here and I'm benchmarking a GPU, but while that's running its thing, I'd really like to be, you know, testing out this new network switch or doing this other. Where am I going to do that? Like, I don't have the space to set all that up. This is a 200 square foot office, and there's 2 people in here. So there's not enough room to run the business or make content or do benchmarking or do testing or writing or let alone developing the things that I also want to develop. I'd love to start doing much more merchandise and even getting into like PC cases and things like that as far as like chic and boutique style things. So yeah, getting more space is absolutely a must. Best way you can support me, craftcomputing.store. Buy anything on there. We've actually got, I think we're offering things at very reasonable pricing, especially considering, before we had another company handling my merch for me. And so we said, yeah, just throw my logo on things and whatnot. And I did have some design influence and things that I wanted to see on there, but, it was like $20 for a pint glass, and of that I'd receive like $1.75 if I sold one. And it's like, well, who's making money in this situation? Because it's definitely not me. And they were what we needed at the time to fill that need to get merch out there and things like that. But now I can offer pints at half of that and make 3 to 4 times what I was making per pint glass on the old site. So now you guys can buy 2 pint glasses. And now I'm making actually a decent profit to make it worth my time to invest into merch and things like that. So, yes, if you want to support the channel, craftcomputing.store. That's why lttstore.com is mentioned twice in every video, because it makes up 1/3 of LTT's revenue. And hopefully it'll do the same here.
Yeah, I think it makes up like 1/3 of my closet too. I feel like I have to rotate my freaking LTT shirts so I don't look like a huge shill in every single video I do.
That's right.
But no, I don't blame you for wanting to expand. I know exactly what you're going through. My old place, my work, my office was a desk. My shooting studio was a desk. My editing station was a desk in a tiny bedroom, which most of it was taken up by the desk itself. The rest was taken up with shelving, one camera, an overhead cam. And if I wanted to get back there, good luck. Like walking, stepping over wires, trying not to hit the tripods. Like
this is also our downstairs den, and it has TV and a couple gaming systems and things like that, and a full couch. And the couch is wonderful because sometimes after talking heads, I'll grab my laptop and I'll go over there and we'll sit there and I'll chat in the after party, and some nights I'll crash there and just fall asleep. But oftentimes my kids will come in, and even while I'm working, they'll be able to sit on the couch, watch TV, hang out with dad and things like that. And so it's great. But at the same time, it's like, there's a freaking couch in my studio. I'm trying to work here, dang it. And this is my hangout room. This is my video room. This is my TV room. It's also got my 3D printer. It's also got like my arcade machine, and there's just no room for all of it. And let alone the work that I'm trying to do. So
more space is definitely welcome. We moved in this place, and we had a theater room, a home theater room that is no longer a home theater room anymore. And all my friends, like, when I was showing them the house, are like, can't wait to come over and watch football on Sundays, watch some movies. That home theater room's awesome. I'm like, it's not a home theater room anymore. Sorry. But I know where you're coming from. That's gonna be. Do you have any idea of like Like how quickly you want to start, how often, or how long you
We've
think
already
it's gonna
we've
take?
already started designing out some plans and talking to a couple contractors, specifically for getting the foundation poured, because that's going to be the biggest work that I'm not going to trust myself to do.
Right.
So on the side of my house, we have a split level house, and then on the back side of it we have a garage, and the garage is 4 feet sunken into the ground. My house is built into the side of a hill. Behind the garage is actually fairly flat. And so right beside the garage is a perfect space to just kind of level everything out and then build a building up on top of it that shares one wall with the garage that's going to be 4 feet below it. And so that's kind of the general plan. But as part of that, we need to pave from the sidewalk all the way back and then pour a foundation for the new place to sit on that will support a 2-story, 1,000-square-foot building. And again, the stretch goal is to also cut the roof off of my garage and build another 500 square feet on top of the garage. So we've already drawn up some basic plans. I've talked to a couple people, but the biggest impetus is starting to get contractors in here to start doing quotes for the foundation. Because without that, I'm not going to trust myself to do it. Because that's like, I'll do my electrical, I'll do plumbing. I'm decently enough experienced with that, and I have professionals that I can reach out to in the family or acquaintances or things like that. Thinking, hey, can you just come double check my work before we put up the drywall? I'm totally fine with that. Concrete, no.
Yeah, you can't, and you can't redo it. If you did it and then you build something on top and you find out you did it wrong,
Yeah,
good luck.
right.
You can pull down some drywall and redo some electrical.
That's exactly right.
You can't lift up your house and redo the concrete.
Right.
So yeah, I don't blame you.
Yeah, there's some things that I'm willing to do myself, and in fact, like I've done framing work, I've put in doors, I've put in windows, I've done insulation, I've done electrical, I've done plumbing. I'm not saying it's easy to do, but at the same time, I have a certain amount of skill set that I could do that. Now, the nice thing about the addition is this is just a shop build. This is not a habitable space. This is not anything that I need plumbing and an oven and a sink and everything else. It's literally just going to be an expansion of my garage. So as far as permitting goes, it makes it a lot simpler. And as far as inspection goes, it makes it a lot simpler. As long as you're following electrical code and building code, you're fine. I don't have to bring a plumber in. I don't have to do all this other stuff. But you get the foundation wrong, there's no point to doing any of this.
Yeah, I'll do electrical. Electrical is scary, but it's very simple for the most part.
Yeah.
Like you have 120 volt, you run your 120 volt to a breaker.
Yep.
Make sure 15 or 20 amps.
Yep.
Don't go over it. Like,
yep.
Put as many as you want. Like I said,
right.
Electrical's really scary, but simple.
Yeah, it's the one thing that can kill you when you're building your house, other than falling off your roof or something like that. But I'm not moving my server rack out of the garage. The server rack's going to stay in the garage because we've already got two 20 amp 120 volt circuits in the garage. I don't want to have to redo all of my low volt cabling and fiber. I'd rather just run some new lines over to the new space and maybe have an intermediary switch in the new office or something like that. That just seems way simpler to not have to move all that infrastructure. So beyond the server rack, what do I have? I have a couple workstations, and then I've got some power tools, which I'm only going to run one at a time. I'm not going to run the saw and the drill press and my laser cutter and everything else all simultaneously. So I don't actually need that much amperage in the new studio, and all of my lighting is LED. My cameras run off 5 volt. There's not a lot that needs to be done there as far as electrical infrastructure goes. So what do I need? Maybe 3 or 4 circuits. It's not a huge endeavor.
Yeah, for studio, I mean, unless you're running like big old Chungus lights and editing station. I mean, other than that,
I've got a big old Chungus editing station. It's got a 13900K and an RTX 3090. I've got my streaming PC, which is a 5950X and an RTX 3070. And they'll chooch along at 500 watts, but they're rarely chooching along when the other one's chooching along because I'm only one person. Right. Like I'm not asking the world of everything inside my office here, and if I was, holy crap, my air conditioning is not going to keep up.
Yep.
So what do I need in the new studio? We're going to install a split unit that'll handle both the downstairs and upstairs of the new shop, as well as the addition above the garage. That's what, $3,500 plus a little bit of electrical work to run a 1,200 watt split unit. Like it's not that intense. And then I need what? 2 circuits for the editing room, 2 circuits for the shop. You know, one for lights and ancillary, and one for the power tools. Because again, we're not running all of the tools all at once. It's never going to be anything like that. It's literally me and maybe one other person in the shop, and we're not going to be knocking everything out at the same time. So there's not that much to do. And there's no plumbing. There's no toilet going in there. There's no sink. Like, we'll walk outside and usually walk back into the house to take care of that.
Yeah, it's probably easier to do that than to run plumbing and get
Totally is.
all that stuff
Yeah.
like approved and dealt with. Ugh. So
Yeah.
no, that'll be
And there's been a bunch of people asking me
fantastic.
about zoning laws and things like that. Oregon is actually very lax, especially when it comes to shop builds, because remember, this is not a home expansion and this is not a business expansion. This is a garage expansion. I'm building a shop. And what I do in my shop is up to me. And you can run businesses out of your home so long as you are not a publicly facing business. I don't have customers coming to my house. And so there's no other considerations to make. This will be fully permitted. This will be fully inspected. This will be fully above board. I'm not just going to like start digging one day. I'm definitely not that guy. But as far as zoning requirements, my city, my county, and to the larger extent my state, very, very easy to work through those processes.
Yeah, it makes everything a lot easier when it's not a nightmare to deal with all the
And no HOA.
paperwork.
I
there you go.
will never buy a house with an HOA attached.
Well, that's a huge one because doing all that with an HOA would be a absolute nightmare.
Well, I don't want to look at your 2-story garage. That just seems like something I didn't sign up for.
Yeah, we'll look the other way.
Yeah. I'm sorry, where does your property end? Oh, cool. Just checking.
Yep. I got an HOA, but luckily they're pretty lax when it comes to HOAs. It's pretty... They don't seem to really enforce too much. I mean, lawns is about the only thing they really care about. My neighbor redid their roof, and they hired someone. They got it completely redone, and then they went to the HOA and they were like, "Hey, we got our roof done." So, deal with it.
Yeah.
They're like, "Yeah, whatever.
I'm not taking it off." So.
Yeah, exactly. Like, it's on there.
Yeah.
We're not putting the old one back on.
HOAs definitely can serve a very constructive purpose for neighborhoods, particularly when it comes to maintaining property values and upkeeping and making sure that public works things happen within their neighborhood. Make sure streets are clean and garbage is picked up, and you have parks that are available for kids, and everything looks nice and pretty and neat. But you get one retired Karen who gets the smallest amount of power, and so help you God.
Yep.
So. Yep. Mike sends over a $10 super chat, and I think I struck a nerve. There's no such thing as owning a house in an HOA. You're just renting with extremely expensive upfront costs.
Yeah. It ranges from really lax HOAs that are HOAs that'll make you cut your grass if you leave it too long and make sure no one's painting their house tie-dye. And then there's the HOAs where, I wanted to put a new door on my house. I wanted to put a new mailbox.
That is not approved.
Exactly.
You are already at the 2-shrub limit.
My friend who just bought a house up north of me in a brand new neighborhood, they have a really strict HOA, and he was talking about how there was requirements for his front yard, shrubbery.
Yeah.
It was like, this isn't up to, you need one more to balance this out. I was like, are you trolling? It's like,
Right.
no, they actually told me, like, I need to put in another. I'm like,
No,
oh
no,
my God.
no. You need to maintain 2 hanging baskets, 3 shrubs, and 1 tree.
Yeah, that's a little much.
I will say I did almost put an offer in on a house with an HOA attached, but it came with some very fringe benefits. So we went and looked at this house, and it was a 2,400 square foot house that came with an attached hangar.
That's you don't see that very much. I don't even know if that's an option on Zillow.
Because it is a community that developed around an airport, and so you have the house, and then you have a nice 2 or 3 car garage, and then you also get a half acre with your own hangar that is literally right behind your house, and you can do whatever you want with the hangar. But it's meant for people who like own Cessnas and want to fly and
Right.
want to like have their morning coffee and then go fly their plane. Like that's what the community was designed around. I was looking at it from the YouTuber standpoint of like how freaking cool would it be to have a 4,000 square foot shop?
Yeah.
Like
And a
holy
hangar.
crap! And
Yeah, that'd be
so
cool.
we actually got down to looking at putting in an offer on this place. The HOA was $660
Okay.
per month.
Oh shit.
Because you maintain the airport. You employ the air traffic controller. You maintain the tarmac. You
I don't want to do that.
right. It was like
Yeah.
now, if you own a plane, that makes
guess,
total
yeah.
sense. And if you look at like hangar rental fees and everything else, like that's a freaking bargain. If you just want to like store your plane at your house and then be able to fly to work or something like that, like it makes total sense. But for someone who's looking at using the property for something else, 660 was a little hard to swallow.
Yeah, I wouldn't even know. I know planes are expensive, but yeah, that's a little too steep for me.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, you can get some Cessnas that are down in the $25,000 range that are really good running aircraft and everything else. And if you have your license and everything else, you got to pay to store the plane somewhere, and hangars are pretty limited availability. And buying a house with a hangar attached to it is a pretty darn good deal.
I can see how it'd be beneficial with that is a niche market you've put yourself in
right.
with there, but I can see how it'd be extremely beneficial.
Right. And so like we still, even after the HOA fees were announced, we're like, I'm still thinking about it. I'm
Yeah.
not saying no.
Right. I might get my pilot license. Who knows?
Right.
It might be worth it.
Maybe down the road we'll
Yeah, we don't know.
get into that.
Yeah.
So yeah.
that's-
Let's see. Planes are like boats. Bring out another 1,000. Yeah. Tracking Elon's plane 24/7. No, I wanted to just fly from airport to airport, like harassing him on the tarmac. That'd be my side gig.
Till he pays you a couple of $1,000s to stop.
Right. Well,
Yeah.
Tell you what, I'm gonna land behind you on the tarmac, and if you want to pay me like $4,000 to not post that I just did that, I paid for my trip. Cool.
There you go.
Where are we going next?
Yeah. Just put me on retainer. Put me on your payroll.
Yeah. Michael chimes in with a membership chat. Thank you very much, Michael. May 1st, 19-year anniversary. The years go by so fast. Enjoy the time you have. First off, congratulations on 19 years. Holy crap. I say holy crap like it's that far away from me, but I've been married 17 years next month. So I'm just barely behind you. Out of like all of my friend group, Steve El Polo Diablo, who's another co-host here on Talking Heads, he's the only friend that I have who's been married longer, and he's been married like 24 years. Like he shared his birth date with me the other week because we're flying to LA in a couple of weeks, and I'm like, wow, okay.
24. Let's see. We'll be at 1 year in 2 weeks.
Nice.
So that's
congratulations.
Thanks. Hit the one milestone. Got to start with one.
That's right.
To get up into
you got to start with one to make it
double.
to 17.
Yep, you got to start.
Right.
Yep. Exactly.
Yeah. So yeah, no, I got married all the way back in 2006.
2000. What was I doing in 2006? I was a sophomore in high school.
Wow.
So, yeah, I'm glad I didn't get married in 2006. Let's just say that.
I have almost as much gray in my beard as you do. Mine's blending a little bit more, but
yeah, my hair decided to leave my head, and my beard decided to go gray.
Yeah.
To make me look older.
Yeah.
For some wild reason.
I will say.
I don't know why.
I will say it's a good look.
Well, I appreciate that.
But
I like to make myself feel better by saying I look older, so maybe I'll just stay looking this age for a long time.
The really nice thing about aging quickly is it's like you have a miserable 25 to 30 going like, oh God, I'm going to die next year or something like that. But then all of a sudden you're like, but I'm going to look like this for the next 50 years. That's not a bad deal.
Yep. That's what I tell myself every morning when I look in the mirror.
Yeah, you're the Keanu Reeves of YouTube.
Oh, perfect. I'll put that in the description of every YouTube video I put out now.
There you go. Yeah, I did warn my wife that both my grandpa and my great grandpa had full heads of hair like into their 90s. But I also warned my wife. I said, if it starts to fade, I am not going to fight it. If I wake up one morning and I get too much hair coming off in my hand, I'm going to take a razor to it that day, and you'll never see it again because I'm not going to be that guy.
That's the thing I think everyone like struggles with, because I started losing my hair when I was like probably sophomore in college. It started early, like, you know, something I didn't really notice it for a while, and I was like, oh shit, dude. And then it goes on for years and years, and you kind of just deal with it. And then it was I remember a specific event. We had a work event, and I don't know, some like, I don't know, group thing, and they were taking pictures for it. And they sent out all the pictures after, like, hey, everyone, it was a fun event, check out the pictures. And there's a picture of me like bent over
and just that
the top of my head. Oh my God. I was like, that night I went home and just shaved my head and didn't look back. I was like, oh my God, I can't be that guy.
I have a friend who was almost that exact, like, started losing his hair about 22, 23. And like 30 years later, he's still just straight razors it like every morning. And but he goes, I woke up one morning and I looked in the mirror and I went, oh my, what? And he goes, nope. And I told my wife, I'm going to do the same thing. Now, my forehead does get a little taller every year, but I've been growing my hair longer so I can kind of like floof it up a little bit and whatnot. But it's going to reach a point. There's going to be a bald Jeff on the screen.
Yeah, what happened, it is one of those things, like, there wasn't a like set instance until there was. So it was always kind of like, I'll deal with it.
Right.
Then there was that one instance where I was like, that's it. Game over.
Yep.
I'd rather be bald than balding.
Yes.
So, and that was the end of that.
It's a great way to put it. So, speaking of video evidence of things that we regret, OBS can now stream in AV1. So this has been something that, especially as like content creators, especially as people who are like, I'm live streaming right now. We have been waiting for the other shoe to drop on AV1 for a couple of years now. AV1 is in no way related to X265 or H264, which are the two most popular codecs that are on the market when it comes to video compression. The video stream that's coming out of my camera right now is something like 120 megabit or something like that over HDMI. It's being delivered to your eyeballs at about 7.5 megabit because it's being compressed. The color field is being compressed. The visible colors are being compressed. It's only changing when there's motion on the screen. So my background, it doesn't have to update ever because the pixels are the same frame to frame to frame. And so it just kind of ignores those until it needs to update them. That's how a lot of video compressions work. But H.264, X.265, they have their limitations, and the bitrate that we can stream at comes at the expense of video quality. We're getting compressed colors. We're getting artifacts of compression. AV1 works quite a bit differently, where every single frame is fully updated, but it's using as much of the color palette as it possibly can. It's updating all of the background and all of the edge features in every single frame, but it's also like 4 to 6 times as efficient as X.265 at encoding each individual frame. It means it's easier to play back if you have proper decoding equipment, and it's easier to transmit if you have proper encoding equipment. So you're watching me right now at 1080p at about 7.5 megabit per second. Imagine if you could watch me at 4K 60 with better color and fidelity at 6 megabit. That's what AV1 is going to deliver. So if you are at all interested in broadcast technology, streaming technology, being able to shoot a camera feed somewhere, AV1 is something to pay attention to. And OBS, the program that's bringing you this stream right now, as of version 29.1, can use pretty much every single native AV1 encoder there is. They can use AMDs, they can use Intels, they can use NVIDIAs. Now you need to have either a lightning fast CPU, which even on a 5950X, I didn't want to chance it tonight, although I did upgrade to 29.1 this evening. But I still have a 3070. I know, woe is me. But only 4000 series NVIDIA cards and 7000 series AMD cards, or Intel's Alchemist GPUs. The A380, the A750, the A770 have AV1 hardware encoding built in. So unless you have one of those cards, you're going to be on the outside looking in, at least when it comes to transmitting that content. 3000 series NVIDIA cards do have AV1 decoders, and so if you needed to play back AV1 encoded video, it's going to work way better for you than it would on a CPU-dependent system. But what that means for all of you is better quality live streams in particular, coming from your favorite content creators. So I'm hoping within the next couple of weeks that maybe I'll switch to my A770 card, and maybe I'll try slinging some AV1 your way and see if it works. Maybe we'll be broadcasting in 4K here shortly. But this is going to be absolutely huge when it starts to be supported both on Twitch and on YouTube, because right now, especially with fast-moving content, MPEG compression, that is X.265, H.264, doesn't deal well at lower bit rates with rapidly changing images. You end up with your MPEG compression, your Hank Hill saying, "Do I know? Look what I know what an MPEG is." It's the blockiness that you get in video compression, because it goes, oh, this square right here doesn't change, so I'm just gonna mask that off real quick because I don't have to worry about it. But it lowers the quality of your video stream overall. And the more motion you have, the more color data you have, the more compressed it has to make it to fit within a certain bit rate. AV1 doesn't suffer from those deficiencies. So if you watch a lot of Twitch, if you watch a lot of game streams, a lot of live streams, this is going to be huge moving forward.
Yeah, agreed. Like you said, not only for the the high end being able to stream 4K, 60 FPS at a lower bit rate, but because some people still in the United States and all around the world don't have, high speed internet connections. So being able to stream those lower 1080p, 720p, at even lower bit rates.
Yeah, getting down to like 2.5 meg or something like that with the 1080p
and still getting a quality stream.
Right.
Yeah, like when you're on like your hotspot or something, you open up a Twitch stream and it defaults to like 330 or 360p.
Yeah.
And it literally looks like a blocky stop motion. With AV1, hopefully, even with those lower bandwidths and lower internet speeds, you can still get decent streaming.
Yeah.
So I know YouTube is big into it, and I believe they've announced that they're officially supporting it, or soon to be officially supporting it.
They've been rolling it out.
They support it, but don't official.
Right. They've been rolling it out in a beta program over the last 6 weeks or so for those who want to sling AV1. Epos Vox, again, we mentioned his name because anything associated with aspect ratio or bit rates, he's got his name on. Epos Vox actually did a whole breakdown both of YouTube's AV1 as well as the benefits of streaming in AV1 when and if they come available. And so if you want more information on that, check the link in the description. Go check out Epos Vox's video. It is absolutely fantastic on why this is going to be such a big deal.
Yeah.
In a voice that's an octave lower than I can deliver it.
Yeah. It's I know it's one of those things. It's kind of hard to wrap your mind around because once you start getting into different codecs and compression algorithms and stuff, it's very easy to get lost in the weeds.
Yeah.
Because when you hear like, oh, H.264, H.265, NVENC, decoders, transcoding, encoding, now AV1, it's like, what are you talking about?
Right.
But yeah, I think you summed it up pretty well. Basically, AV1 is going to allow you to get a better quality with a lower bit rate, meaning less data is required to get better performance.
Correct.
So at the end of the day, that's kind of all you need to know.
Yeah.
So it's gonna be solid.
Yeah. Even if you only watch 1080p streams, your 1080p streams are either going to A, consume a quarter of the bandwidth that they do today, or B, have less artifacting, less compression, higher color, higher fidelity, higher frame rates than you can get them now at the same bit rate.
Right.
And so it is a markedly better codec than H.265. It has so many benefits on top of just higher fidelity and higher efficiency, especially if you deal heavily with NVIDIA. So definitely going to be something fun as they roll that out.
And Twitch, I don't think Twitch has even made any statement about supporting it, have they?
They have not. They have not.
Yeah.
So right now, Twitch even limits stream uploads to 6 megabit, which even for 1080-60 content is pretty restrictive.
Yeah, that's...
I do 1080-30 content here on the channel. Again, there's not a lot of fast motion or anything like that. And it seems to be pretty good, but I upload at 7.5 megabit. I can't imagine trying to do 5 or 6 megabit at 1080-60 to get...
Yeah, especially if you're a streamer playing like a high FPS game.
Right,
like,
doing a Twitch shooter. There's a reason a lot of Twitch streams look pretty god-awful sometimes.
Move over to Kick, dude. Kick gonna support AV1? Who knows?
I haven't heard, but maybe. If they're serious, then yes, they should.
Yeah, I've been following all the Kick stuff. It's just hilarious how that came about. Yeah. The whole streamer drama.
Yeah.
Essentially came out of like gambling. For anybody that doesn't know the whole background, haven't heard of Kick. Kick basically got spun up as a Twitch rival because Twitch basically brought down the hammer on not allowing gambling streams on Twitch anymore.
Right.
And so one of the biggest gambling streamers, Trainwrecks TV, who's made lots of money through gambling sponsorships on Twitch, basically moved over and became an ambassador for Kick.com, which is a streaming site that allows not anything goes, but now gambling.
Right.
And and turns out Kick is owned by a online gambling website, stake.com. Shocking, right?
Well, of course they're okay with it.
Yeah, yeah. Who would have thought that
Yeah.
a gambling online casino would
I
like gambling content on their own streaming platform?
I can't get over so much of the double speak in this country about what's okay and what's not. Because it's like, oh, I love the NFL. Well, why do you love the NFL? Well, the games are really compelling. No, it's the gambling. Like,
Yeah.
there's a reason that even ESPN does a whole thing with Scott Van Pelt on odds and picking overs and unders and things like that. It's because probably 40% of the draw to the NFL is the gambling aspect of the NFL. And but we don't mention that in polite society.
Hmm.
Who
Yeah,
cares
gambling's
how
taboo.
a grown person wants to spend their money? Like, come on.
Yeah, it's funny because probably like even as little as 5 years ago, like gambling in the NFL, like sports betting's always been big, but the NFL actually acknowledging it was like,
Yeah.
no, they don't. There's no one's betting on our games. We're professional.
Right.
And over the 5 years, something changed to where now there's like an official gambling platform of the NFL.
Right.
Like they're fully endorsing gambling now. Turns out the NFL likes money. Would have thought.
I love that the NFL was so anti-gambling for so long, even though they had over-under odds on the length of Aretha Franklin's Star-Spangled Banner at the beginning of the Super Bowl. It's like, how can you be that big and not acknowledge the platform and what is truly making you successful and truly making you the number one sport?
Yeah,
It never made sense to me.
yeah. I mean, it makes sense for them to lean into it. It's funny, like the hypocrisy of like I can't remember his name, wide receiver, I think for the Falcons, got suspended an entire year for gambling on a
Oh,
game and like the
is that Julio?
no,
No.
no, it wasn't Julio. I can't remember his name. He got spent an entire year for gambling. And then the next year, NFL announces like an official gambling sponsorship, and everyone's
Right.
like, "Cool,
Yeah.
glad to see you really enforcing that and really, really setting priorities there."
Exactly right.
But yeah, it was a long-winded tangent to go off and say, "Yeah, AV1 is going to be huge."
Everyone's going to be
I've
good.
got
Something gambling is bad. Save your money,
yeah,
kids.
I've got the A77 or A770
Uh-huh.
that I haven't known what to do with yet, but now that AV1's starting to be officially supported by not only OBS but YouTube now,
Right.
might give me an excuse to actually use it for something.
Yeah, that's kind of where I'm at too. I actually tried to put my A770 into my streaming rig when I rebuilt it a couple of months ago, and I fired it up only to realize that I still rely on NVIDIA Broadcast for some of my voiceover work. And I went, well, there goes that. And so I pulled it out like within an hour. Like I fired up Audacity, and I went, okay, let me go ahead and record this thing real quick for an ad read. And I went, oh, no NVIDIA Broadcast. Well, screw that idea.
Yeah.
And out it came. But now I have another PC that I can do my recording on, but maybe the A770 will live in this one next week. Who knows?
Yeah, I bought the A770 like right on release date from Newegg. Got it shipped in. I was like, I'm gonna do all this like cool stuff with it. I'm make videos on it. Put it in my PC, and I couldn't do anything. AV1 hadn't even been supported on anything
Right.
when that got released. So I'm like, what am I even gonna do with this thing? Like, it doesn't do anything. Right. I can make a video like, oh, why did I buy this with the YouTube face, like,
Right.
and make one of those. But
Right.
I was like, I'll wait until it can actually do something.
Yep.
Maybe get some use out of it. But
I am looking
seems
forward
like
to the
that's coming.
day that we can consider Intel a full competitor in the marketplace. They're close. They're scary close for a first gen product of being a relevant player. At I think the A770 is going for like $280 now. Like it's still a fantastic deal. You just have to be aware of like the first gen bugs, kind of like we were with first gen Ryzen, where we were like, oh, Ryzen's a player now. Ooh,
Yeah.
hope you
Yeah.
don't like memory speed.
Yeah, in very specific scenarios,
Right.
it does. In the bar charts, it does stack up to the others, but
Right.
in some others, it does not.
Yeah, if you're
But yeah,
happy
like
with
the
80% being good and 20% being like, oh God, why did I ever switch? It's a
yeah. What's
fantastic
the
product.
what's the thing with Arc Intel? Like it doesn't run DirectX 9 or something. It doesn't
It
run.
runs DirectX 9. It's just terrible at it because you
Yeah.
have to
Okay.
you have to remember that AMD and nVidia have 20 years experience writing drivers for DirectX 9 and making sure that all their instructions make sense.
Yeah.
Intel has some experience writing for DirectX 9. Obviously, they ran integrated graphics for forever and are not new to the GPU market, but they're new to the high performance GPU market.
Right.
And this is a brand new architecture. So do you focus on DX9 in development? No, you do DX12 first, which is what they did. And in DX12, they're very competitive. In DX10 and 11, like your mileage may vary. In DX9, oh no.
Yeah. I think in terms of first gen products, like you said, it's pretty good. I think first gen, I think Apple spoiled us when they with the M1 stuff
Oh,
that
yeah.
came out. And I was I was fully on the boat, like, oh my God, Apple's about to take a step back.
Yep.
Their stuff's gonna suck for a while. Switching to ARM, their own house built chips, like new architecture. Like
Day one made me a believer. Like, holy
I
crap.
I was shocked. I I've had two M1 laptops since then.
Uh-huh.
Like I can't believe how from yeah, like you said, day one,
Right,
it's been nuts.
I'm still on both of my first gens. So I've got a 13-inch MacBook Pro M1 and I've got a Mac Mini M1, and base
Yeah.
models,
They're still
8 gigs, 256. Like they're not even the beefed up ones. They're not, they don't have a ton of memory or anything like that. Holy crap!
Yeah.
Like
they're insane.
they're still daily drivers, and for a first gen product, they're remarkable.
Yeah, I had the M1 MacBook Air, and I was like on the go, like editing on that,
Yeah.
no problem, and handled it. But the only reason I upgraded was because I wanted a bigger screen because I was getting tired of trying to edit on a 13-inch screen, so I wanted the 16.
Mm-hmm.
So I got the M1 Pro version, and that thing's just a freaking beast.
Yeah.
Like it's crazy what they've done with that. And like I know we're still in Apple's overpriced and Apple's just a luxury item type. I know that's been a stereotype for a long time, and just it used to be pretty true, but at this point,
Yeah.
there's a lot of bad things about Apple. Like, damn, do they make
But performance
some
per
solid
dollar is
computers.
not one of them.
yeah, it's that surprised me.
Yeah.
So that real quick, that brought me to this question I had written down is, do you think, you can do this real quickly.
Yeah, absolutely.
Speaking of M1 and ARM getting so popular, growing in not only consumer and home lab stuff, Raspberry Pi is obviously sold out, can't make enough.
Right.
And M1 being so powerful, do you think Apple ventures back into like the enterprise world with whatever number of servers? Do you think that's a possibility?
I don't think so. From the outset, you have to look at where Apple has found all of their success. And so Apple was very much in the late 90s when Steve Jobs came back. They introduced the iMac G3, the color rainbow shell iMacs and whatnot. They were very much stopping focusing on business and education and very much focusing on consumer. In 2001, they launched the iPod and iTunes. In 2006, 2007, they announced the iPhone. In 2010, it's the iPad, and so on and so forth. And through the years, they have been less and less supportive of enterprise and large business and things like that, and very focused on personal computing. And I don't think that goes away. I think they found all of their success kind of as a boutique but also really powerful personal computer. And I don't think you need to look much further than Apple's enterprise programs for LDAP or for other protocols that would be useful in an enterprise situation, and go, they're laughably incomplete. Like they always lagged behind. If you looked at like LDAP in like 2003 or 2006 or something like that, they were never great. They worked, but they weren't great. Now, boy, you'd be hard pressed to argue against Active Directory in favor of an Apple iCloud environment, and that's even for organizations that are moving away from Active Directory. So, do they enter the enterprise again? Hard pass, because they found so much success and so much revenue to be had in the consumer space, which is really weird for an IT company.
Yeah, no, I agree pretty much with everything you said. Apple's known as a consumer brand, but to play devil's advocate, the only thing I would say is now that they are making their own chips and they have such a strong presence in a new and emerging technology with ARM, and I know there's ARM-based enterprise servers, but that's a relatively small market right now.
Right.
And with the amount of manufacturing they're doing just for consumer ARM chips, it's the only reason I could see them even remotely getting back in is the fact that they are now very strongly making their hardware in a market that can potentially grow.
The one thing that I could see Apple jumping back into a server space with would be, because their x86 to ARM translation layer has been so strong, where it's as fast as some of the fastest native chips that run x86, x64, in translating to an ARM environment, is you might be able to run a hybrid ARM x64 environment with all of your existing code and slowly transition over to a more efficient interface, or more efficient architecture that is specifically designed for your instruction sets. I think there's a lot of value to be had there in the enterprise and server space, but whether or not Apple wants to capitalize on that or continue putting all their assets into consumer.
Yeah, no, I don't. At the end of the day, if I was a bet man, I'd say no, but
Right.
I like the idea of seeing it happen, because why not? I'm not paying for it.
Right.
I don't lose money if it fails.
Yeah.
So
anyway, it is 8 o'clock. It is, I think, time to bring this show to a close. Radal, thank you so much for joining me.
Sure.
This was a lot of fun.
Absolutely.
Make sure to subscribe to Radal over on YouTube. His links are down in the video description. As for me, make sure to drop this video a like, subscribe to Craft Computing if you haven't done so already, and as always, we'll see you next week. Cheers, everyone.